Kissing the Tasan Jim Digi, Zulia, and Dunga, Saya than Diki to be a tablam, and the Mahmusumbe Nane, and to Dunga Yaki, Yuzo, the dozen Mariba said it is. Tis not a dozen Mariba city, Pangugures, Dipayala tap, and Tomba you to be share a comche Pangugure, say. Tis not that Tomba you to be share up the Tomba you toyala. Nitendiki Namshatili some tangure, such Denigi and the San Jimendiki, the new mobile Ponwiki, Tablaya, and Digiria, Tablamia, and Tomba to be shut up. Comiata, Ditoya, Tabla, Tendiki Namsha somebody, and San Jimendiki, the Sumba Dea, and then Azulia, Dujalia, and Jambata, Ziviki, and the Guinea Lachi somebody, yes. Dini Zada, Diniki, Tendiki Namshatelia, Nayane Yado. Jiki Jevache and the Samtadi and Donny Doyag Tablia and the Pizuche or the Geshe and Kissing out the Digor Shero.
Then good evening, everyone. So last week or last time we continued to look at the text Praise for Dependence Arising. And so we'll be looking at it in the context that the Buddha Shakyamuni taught innumerable methods by which we can eliminate suffering and we can cultivate lasting, stable happiness. And within this, it's pointed out that the root cause of all our suffering is the ignorance of self-grasping. And it's that we need to eliminate so as to be free of suffering and pain and all unwanted situations. And then the method to eliminate this cause of all our suffering is through cultivating the contrary mind, the wisdom that realizes emptiness. And in order to be able to realize emptiness, one needs to realize dependence arising. So therefore, with the Buddha, when he taught methods to eliminate suffering, the way to eliminate suffering is through coming to realize dependence arising. One realizes emptiness and eliminates the root cause of suffering. Likewise, in terms of achieving lasting happiness, one also has to develop wisdom. One also has to develop the wisdom understanding emptiness. So to achieve both of these goals, the attainment of happiness and the elimination of suffering, one needs to develop the wisdom understanding emptiness, and this is done through understanding dependence arising. And then moreover, we looked at in some detail last week that we need to ensure that our motivation is the mind of love and compassion, and with this as a motivation, we need to repeatedly investigate reality, repeatedly investigate and come to see how all phenomena arise dependently and lack true existence. And this meditation one needs to make great effort in, repeatedly, over a sustained period, and then change will come.
Nisu Sawaru Shinyaki, Disam Samta Membache, Dangajuine, Diki to Nisu Saba. Nisu Sawa some Shinya, Tindik by the Nisu Sawa Shinya to Namoda, Tarba the Temji Kimbo, some Tango, Tinizangazu, some Tindik and Namja, some Tangure Sadia, Nisu Sawa Shinya Dunda, Disam Membache. And Caridunda Tindik and Namja, some Tangures in it, Tombani to Dunda, and then Tombani to Anna Carrior Lamna. Just did Tomba to be loaded Yamlin Cheva Ina, and it doesn't dance in Bacha that Cheva, Bang to Meva Sutu or a Bang to order. Dipambana and the San Yoko top 2 orders. The Inzada, San Yoko Toba, and Shanlia, Pemba, Tuyalia, and Duda number Guneshan, Pemba Janja, to 2 days, Rania, Gedina, Dingy Diaware, and the Shanlia and Pemba Jachim to 2 days. The Inza, that Shanlia, Pemba. To be a good Dondala, and in San Diego said, Matop Tamidu, the Shen, the Pendia Dubiagi, Tablam Yaksho, the San Diego Resha. Chisang San Diego wanted Topper Chigi. Chisang San Diego Topper Chebala, Lam Garagom Jing, San Diego Toguri Lamne, Jamni Jet, the Jajusem, Digan, Tony to be Shadow Comche, and the San Diego Tokuare. Chisanda Tony to be Shadow Combala, Tony to. 지난다 돈이 또에게 탑디 아니가 저 땡지게 남샤 될이야 아니 삼다제 냠네 지기 셈비 돈이 또에게 돈달래 땡지게 남샤 삼당이 삼제 아니 두스 군에라 장한 주기 다 땡지게 남샤 아니 지기 귤에 때네 가를 때네 대부 중국도 가르가르시아선 되네게 제바지네 때네 남샤 삼다야디 아니 되네게 군어로 심마서나 되네게 군어도 토네 아니 제바지고 제기 근데 배수시와 디레다
For all of us, coming to understand reality is something that we have yet to do directly. Coming to understand reality in a pure, unmistaken way. So therefore, even if we have some familiarity with this topic, it can be said still that we are embarking on a new journey, because we have yet to arrive at a direct realization of reality. So therefore it's important to have clear in our mind what is meant by dependent arising, and why we need to understand dependent arising, why this is important. And so in brief, we need to understand dependent arising in order to realize emptiness correctly, unmistakenly. And why is that of such importance? Because it's through realizing emptiness directly that one is able to eliminate the cause of all suffering. And one is able to eliminate not just the suffering and the seeds of suffering, but also their imprints, and thereby attain enlightenment. So coming to meditate then, or coming to understand and meditate on dependent arising is of great benefit. And why is this so important? Well, it's not just for ourselves. Of course, it enables our spiritual progression, but it also enables us through our spiritual progression to be of great benefit to others, to have an impact on the spiritual progression of others. So with this understanding, we in the way that was in the meditations that were explained in some detail last time, we cultivate the mind of bodhicitta, where we take responsibility for the welfare of others. When we give rise to the mind of bodhicitta, then the next step of the meditation is to think about, so now that I've committed to strive for the welfare of others, strive for enlightenment for the sake of others, what are the paths I need to develop within myself? What do I need to study and meditate? Well, in brief, these are the paths of method, of love and compassion, as well as those of wisdom. In particular, the wisdom realizing emptiness, which one comes to realize through meditating on dependent arising. So with such a motivation, then one is ready to engage in meditation on dependent arising, in that one will do so with great vigor and with enthusiasm. And in this way, one will rapidly spiritually progress. As I mentioned right at the start of our talk tonight, Buddha Shakyamuni taught many methods to achieve happiness and suffering, and in this context, many methods to realize emptiness, many methods to develop the wisdom realizing emptiness. And as we've heard in these verses in this text, Je Rinpoche is praising Buddha Shakyamuni for having taught the supreme method, that of dependent arising. Je Rinpoche has said many times in this text that there is no better method for realizing emptiness than through reflection on dependent arising.
That's it.
And that brings us to the 10th verse. how could those who perceive the technique of dependent arising as contradictory or not established be able to comprehend your system?
ne dameba ya mindu sisa tenjin namja res tenjin jawa juyu sus tenjin namja res shasa sisa tenjin jawa juyu se de dang de tenjin jawa juwa se de 동요 도에게 탑람 약속의 레스로 와자 제가 되네자 나를 tenjin jawa 중 세대왕 저기 남기네 tenjin jawa 중셀이야 아니 제부디 규텔에 때는 중국에서 군직이 남샤 tenjin 남샤 지다 윤리의 마에는 띠네 답이 띠네 사지 니시고로 와 제가 되네기 띠네 남샤서 다 디나데 당아도 돈이기 제바제알이야 다 윤리의 남샤 당보 윤리의 남샤 띠네 제바제오고라 딜라 하와도 아니 가서 띠네 답이 띠네 남샤 쓰고래 그래서 되네기 띠네 답이 남샤 델라 제바제야도 아니 돈요도 배 탑람 약속들이 샤스고로 와다 텐진 제와 주의 수시 띠네 델라 디로 와다
As we looked at last time, or in the verse immediately preceding this one, it was Jerome Pesce referred to becoming definite with regard to the reasoning of dependent arising. So here he's been saying repeatedly that there is no better reasoning for the realization of emptiness than through cultivating the understanding of dependent arising. So here in the start of this verse, which for us is the second line, the technique of dependent arising, here Jerome Pesce is encouraging us to reflect on dependent arising, and we can do so through either dependency on causes and conditions, or to refer that in another way, through how one thing depends on another. So through reflecting on either of these presentations of dependent arising, one can come to understand emptiness. One can develop a wisdom realizing emptiness or realizing reality. And so this reflection on dependent arising, on either how one thing depends on another, or how there's dependency on causes and conditions, that this is the best method to come to a realization of emptiness.
제가 아주 딘데 라면도 아주 딘데 라과라과도 아주 하고 그러면은 지게 간체레 사원지메나 안델이야 누구게 해요 말봐. 당아주 된도로 따베네 게라야 안당고 사원지 맞다고 그래. 제가 사원지 답지 될래 되는 누구게 누구디야 게게야야 쳇쳇는 된 동보라 차 되네 야가게 되네 메도샤 되네 메도샤는 되네 신이 될래 되네 대부 용거로. 제가 대부디 용할이야 아주 대부도 사야라 디 녀레 규망 오지 림바지 규고도와 제가 데니기 지당아도 대보디기 규텔에 때네 안 중국 림바지를 중국에 바데 땡안주기 아고고로 와다 신바다 차상가서 데니기 리티 아고고로 와다 제가 데니 인자 아 저기 지게 로도베네 로도에 강아서야지 직사제 사와텔에 때네 로도야 돼봐 매봐서 제가 디 사야디야 안직 규견로니 망고를 좀제 아니 규견로 망고를 용하지 될 좀 대좀 발에 때는 사야들라고 그러. 그래서 데니기 라과라과가 되는게 남자 윤리기 되는 남자 해야지 데니기 라과지 되는 루스 삼단 될바 차차차 삼단 구와
One of the reasons that it can be said that dependent arising is such a good technique to realize emptiness is that dependent arising is generally accepted in the world, at least on a very coarse level. So everyone here knows one doesn't need to be a highly educated, a person highly educated in agriculture to understand that if one wants to have flowers in your garden, you need to plant some seeds. Or if you want to have a specific crop grow in your field, you need to plant the relevant seeds. So this is understood. If one wants the result of a particular plant, those seeds need to be planted. And so to bring about a result such as this, everyone can understand that it comes about independence on specific causes. And not just one cause, but actually many causes need to be accumulated for the desired result to come about. So this is known in the world, and not just through agriculture, but in many ways. If coming here tonight you're a bit hungry, and you would have had the wish to achieve the result of your hunger being satiated. So therefore, you know you need to eat something. So through eating something, you achieve the result of your hunger being satiated. But in order to be able to have something to eat, then many causes need to be accumulated, and then one can consume the food and your hunger satiated. So dependence arising on a cause level is something that's easily understood and widely accepted. But ourselves, as people who have a wish to come to understand reality, then we need to take this very basic understanding and think and develop our understanding to subtler and subtler levels.
다 띠네 답이 띠들랍나 땅한 쪽에 bên 파초 파초 리지에나 안저 수리세데 디초가 리랍도 수리랍도 파초를 리지메나 디 수리샤야 말와 그래서 파초 리를 띠네 안에 수쇼 리디 수리라고 그러죠 이내 수리디 파초 리를 띠네 끼와를 뭐 레베스네 끼와면 윤제 책이 말해 네 수쇼게 리차야 돼 파조 리들 뛰지는 수리세 차고 제가 내내 자 뛰네 두바 뛰네 답에 뛰는데 뒤서 제가 수리세야디 파조게 리를 뛰네 답아래 제가 뛰네 따네 답할 때는 수리 차바래 맞아 되는 전 수리 차야 말 디나신 저기 키로지마서 키 낙보셔야지 키디 낙보를 하면 키 뿌디 아는 가도데 낙보여 봐 인자 델량 저기 키 낙보습니다. 키 낙보디 키기디기 제보레베스는 제보 말해. 제가 많이 키 뿌디기 제보레베스네 제보 말해. 매내야 키 도디 낙보여 봐서 델라 때나 가지고 키 낙보스 봤다고 그래. 도디 낙보 매내 키 낙보세 영화여 말해. 제가 키 낙보세야 돼. 키 뿌이 도디 낙보여 봐 델라 때니 키 낙보세도 용거를 봤다 지금 그래. 진짜 디 때네 답에 때내서. 디 나신 키 가보람나 뿌디 가보 인자 텔레티네 키가보세 따니 키가보 차고마도 키부가보 메나 아니 키딜레 키가보세 요요 말와 제가 데니기 키리아 키분도 나고 여바딜레 키 나고서 따야기 키 나고 요야디 키분도 나 분도딜레 띠네 답에 띠네 용하래 제가 띠네 띠제 자와 좋아서 어디 계속 윤제 말에 되는 찌레 띠네 나고세야다 찌레 띠네 가보세 차고로 봐 제가 파초 될 때는 수리세야 차고래. 지난 수조리 될 때는 파초 리세 차고. 윤제 마야나 찍찍을 때는 용거로 와. 지난 계속 되는게 된지게 남자들라 때는 답이 된대서 윤제기 된대 마야나 때는 답이 된대 남자세요.
As mentioned a few minutes ago, dependency or dependence arising can be presented divided into two and divided into two. We've just looked at the one that is dependent on causes and conditions. So we've just looked at that. And then the other type is one thing being dependent on another. So what does this mean? So let's say we're over here, there's a mountain over there, and let's say we're also seated on a mountain. So we're on a mountain here, and there's a mountain over there. The only reason we can say that that mountain is there is because we are here. If we were to be over there, then we would be, from our perspective, here, and over here, and this place would be there. So there's a relationship of dependency, but not on causes and conditions, but rather one thing on another, or to express it differently, dependency on imputation. Because there's a dependency on mind imputing there for one to be able to call that mountain over there, and likewise this mountain over here. Or similarly, if there is a black dog, and we call this dog a black dog, but we can only impute black dog onto this animal, independent on it having black fur. So having black fur is not a cause for it, the result of being called a black dog, but rather independence on it having fur that is the color black. Then the name black dog can be imputed onto that dog. Or likewise, if it was white, the name white dog would be imputed independence on the color, the white color fur. So this then is the second type of dependency, that of dependency through imputation by mind, or dependency of one depending on the other. All phenomena, everything that exists, whether an outer or an inner phenomenon, they can be divided into one of these two categories, either being a dependent arising, dependent on causes and conditions, or dependent arising, dependent on imputation, or to put the second one in with another term, one depending on the other. So all phenomena that exist, whether it's an outer or inner phenomenon, can are included in either dependency on causes and conditions or dependency on imputation.
Rangone Maduba de la Tomba Yiso, Rangone Dubu, Tomba de la, Rangone Dubu, Tombigi, Tomba de la Tony la Corvada, Tisa, Rangone Dubu, Tomba la de Carel, Rangone Dubalana, Gala Matuba, Gudan, Kin, Chashi, Gala Matuba, Gala Matu, Corongwene, Duba Yobaina, Della Rashi Dubala Gore. Tisa, Denegi Rashin Dubadi, Yomares, Minukarasane. Chikare in and the Yobadi, Chile, Tunu to Amato, Kala, Matubarang, the Mindus, and they tinting and Namja sometime you do. Kala, Matu, Rang when the Duba, the Mindus, how good, Rang when you Kalama, Rang when you do Tomba did not on here, it's not only how I didn't have to go, as you rather.
We just heard then that everything that exists, all phenomena, can be divided into one of these two classes of dependency. So how does then the presentation dependent arising help one come to understand emptiness? Well, then let's understand what is meant by this term emptiness. So if something is empty, it means it's empty of existing inherently, or it's empty of inherent existence. It means it's something that is not inherently existent. So this is the meaning of emptiness. It means it's empty of inherent existence. So that should immediately lead to the question, then what is inherent existence that this thing is empty of? So if something is inherently existent, or we can use many synonyms here, truly existent or self-existent, it means it's not dependent on anything at all. So as we heard in a moment ago, everything that exists is a dependent arising, and it can be included in these one of the two divisions of dependency. But if something were inherently existent, it wouldn't be a dependent arising because it's not dependent on anything at all. So that would be something being inherently existent or self-existent. Being self-existent, it's not a dependent arising. Being empty of self-existence or empty of inherent existence, that is emptiness. And it's through understanding dependent arising one comes to understand emptiness.
다 되네게 제사 된지 단니바 칭니바디라 가와다네 마주바세요. 제사 가와다네 마주바 아니 라베어도 그래서 그러세네 제사 상에 좀는 디기 동반이 또에기 최 간데시나 랑은 죽되겐지 요 말에 매비 김살에 가서네 요 말에 가서네 찍찍레 뛰네 중어래와 선 덴지기 남자 송와레스 제사 덴데 남자 송어도 안다델야 nga zugi nangbi nane da jira mawa dang doje ba da sem zamba uma rang yu ba honzu gi sanye jomnan digi tente song ya di rang xin gi juba ma ju bi gyum chale tente song a ro song yo do honzu ga so tente nam sha de le tene chesa tene jik jik le tene ju wa za rang xin juba res chesa rang xin ma ju na yune me ba sha ro za wa yune me ba res chesa me ba ina 매바이나는 델리아 제부기그레세 라요 말바스 제가 균에요 말바스 매나 규기기 델레 띵그레 델레 뛰그레 라요 말스 제가 유다진 셴질로 뛰는 주바 인자 요레스 코코는 원은 주비요레스 제가 랑원은 주비 따레스 진짜 건조기 덴지게 남샤 디삼다시 라신 주바디 아니 슈처 징고레 슈처 징고레스 가와시디 슈첨부 차고레스 가와 랍도 가르소스네 문이시나 라신이 덴제 인상 라신 마주버리라고 그러와 건조기다 라신 마주버리 말아 덴제에서 라신 주버리에서는 텐규르비기 켈렌야 딜레 도쇼시 켈렌 바자 가와레스 제가 가와 켈린 거래 제가 델리아 아니 라신 덴제 인자 라신 마주바 말에 라신 루구구리에서 건조기 라신 주비 김찰을 꼬고도스 되네 우마 라주바 만체야 아주 낭비기 좀나마와 땡큐바 마행게 우마 라주바 만체기 땡디게 남샤 라신 주비 김찰을 꼬고도스 건조.
Looking at the third line for us as contradictory or not established. The Buddha has taught, as we've been hearing, that all phenomena are not inherently existent, or they are empty of inherent existence, and this is because they are dependent arisings. So this is what we've been hearing thus far. So this is what the Buddha taught, but not all Buddhists have this understanding. So if you think of the different philosophical views or the different philosophical tenets within Buddhism, those of the non-prasangikas, so those of the Vaibhashika, the Sautrantika, the Chittamarjans, and the Svatrantikas. So all the non-prasangika view holders, if they think about dependent arising, and they think about dependent arising, actually something quite different occurs for them. Their belief in inherent existence grows and strengthens. So this is contrary to what the Buddha taught and contrary to the view of the Prasangika. And the reason that they have this understanding is they say, if something exists, it has to have an essence to it. It must be inherently existent. Otherwise it cannot exist. It has to have an essence to it or be self-existent. Otherwise it would be non-existent. So with this foundational belief, then when they think about dependent arising, that something depends on something else or on imputation, then this tends to strengthen their belief in inherent existence. Because they believe that if something arises in dependence on something else, then it exists, and it has to exist inherently. So their understanding, when they hear about dependent arising, what arises in their mind is, yes, this is proof that phenomena exist inherently. And that is contradictory to this word we see here in the third line. That is contradictory to the understanding of the Prasangika, what the Buddha taught when he presented the Prasangika view, which was that all phenomena lack inherent existence because they are dependent arisings. Whereas this is not what the non-Prasangikas hear. When they think about dependent arising, this strengthens their belief that phenomena are self-existent, are inherently existent. So therefore, their understanding is contradictory. To put it briefly, the view that we hold, or the Prasangika view, the view that is being presented here by J. Rinpoche, is that if something is a dependent arising, it is not inherently existent. So this is a proof. The non-Prasangikas, Vachantika and below, they hear that if something is dependent arising, and they think, there must be inherently existent. Because if something depends on something else, it has to exist, and if it exists, it has to be inherently existent. So here there's a contradiction in the understanding. So again, the Prasangika understanding is that if something is a dependent arising, it is not inherently existent. The other Buddhists believe if something is a dependent arising, it is inherently existent.
Tendige namsha sayadi tangan sangi jumnen di chue tamje rashi madubare maribi kim skarsen tende roasen tende samtana ande rashi madu ha kuresin kimselya tende kwebarwa sumarwa jesa chirubi ge dubdawa digi tende namsha koron ha kugo mares karsan konjuge karsan tene juwa lago marasna bene jangmenbaru china ande gyugeyo mares gyudan kile tugma koron ngone tubares yachi bene gyuyo mares ya ane yaji kashi nane odi ko la wanchugi chitin ko bobu ko bares chitin ko bobu se bares sayada andini ondini somade chikchile tene jungadi kelingo mares jesa tene jungwa sayadi dugo hakugo ma dugo mares jesa konsolya tene jungwa rashi ma dubare imbi kimse tende re lamna konjugi tende yibadi юм체디 콘조 두고요 말해서 그래서 권어주기 가래라나 권초에 쇠바레스 제사디 시아레마도 때네 중화 지직 때네 용고래세디 시고 말해서 안에 가시네 안 유요 말해서 그 라시 줍되게 돼서 시고래 저래
The second term we have in this third line, that of not established. This then, so the first term contradictory was referring to the understanding of the non-Prasangika, the lower tenets of Buddhists, and now not established refers to the views of non-Buddhists. So non-Buddhists, when they hear about dependent arising, the thought of, phenomena don't truly exist or inherently exist, that certainly doesn't come to their minds because they don't accept dependent arising. And the reason they don't accept dependent arising may be in some cases that they don't accept cause and effect, but rather believe that things have their own self-existent nature, or they may believe that things come into existence due to the power of a creator God. So they are created through a God, and therefore not dependent on cause and effect or imputation. So this term here, not established, refers to the views of non-Buddhists.
Niza tsigdidire tongwa di kyugyu luk jidar kondo chubar news da tsigni ba ni de tongwa di kyugyu luk jidar kondo chubar news tenpa sangye chomnen de kyoronge tenje ge lamla de tenje ge namsha sam ta che tongba ni to be sherap ge lam namsha di konzola ge tusa mares ge mares 간데 가르치려 람나 라디오 마치네 아니 덴티긴 남자 삼다도 라신이 마주바 떠야 될 파샤지 라신 루바 짐이 삼로 슈체 루구도스 난 데네장 안 덴티긴 남자 될라 덴 라신 마주바디 동배 동이도 또 토야 민도스 또 민도스 아니 지루바로 지내는 라신이 루비기 덴티긴 남자 코로 하고 말 하는 저기 디 고건주의 쇠바래 지금 고법의 쇠바래 마도 덴지 남샤이다 하고랑 제바고랑 지고 마고 매반자 덴지 남샤 삼다지 라시마주도 또 토야 민도 세월다 콘도 간스도 콘도 또 투사 민도 지다 콘도 슈버 뉴스
due to their understanding being either contradictory or not established, then we look at our fourth line, they are unable to comprehend your system. So here, what is being said is that those either whose view is contradictory, so the Buddhists who are not of the Prasangika view but the lower tenet holders, or the non-Buddhists, they are unable to understand your system or the Buddhist system, or in particular here, the view of the Prasangika. And this is because, in the case of the non-Prasangikas, they are unable to realize emptiness, which means they are unable to realize the emptiness of inherent existence, because when they reflect on dependent arising, it strengthens their grasping at inherent existence. So they come to a contradictory conclusion, an opposite conclusion. When they reflect on dependent arising, it leads to the strengthening of their grasping at inherent existence, rather than them coming to understand that phenomena are empty of inherent existence, and therefore they cannot realize emptiness. So this is the case for Buddhists who are of the view of the Vaibhashika or the Sautrantika or the Chittamatrans or the Svatrantikas. And then it's similar but for the different reason for non-Buddhists. They don't accept dependent arising due to a belief in a creator God, and therefore do not believe in, or therefore are unable to come to an understanding of emptiness. They cannot realize that phenomena are empty of inherent existence. So therefore they are also unable to comprehend your system.
디기 두비하기 동화세기다 세게 탑람 약쇼디다 저기 녀모바 빠야기 녀모바 세상 유에 주에 동화세야디 주에 규디 가르서 녀모바래 되네 중 레다 녀모바래 되네 중국어래 레다 녀모바 이다 자위기 나 세베 다세 마리바들레 되 중국어래 니방국어래 니빠야라 동에 두비셔라 공국어래 니곰곰제 방국어래 니 동이 곰발라 돈이도 또 오고라다 돈이 마도나 돈이 고매가 말와 제상 돈이 또에게 돈다 탑람 약쇼데 덴티긴 남셔 송아디 제상 랑주부 만치기 디 텔레테네 돈이 또 배시 산지 라 탑람 약쇼 송아디 랑주 만치 배시 땅 두구미도 세워래 안에 지루바디기 좀다 뭐와 디스기 배시 땅 두구미도 제상 덴티긴 남자 삼다제 산지 송바나지 라신 마주바 배시 또 두구미도 제상 돈이 또 두구미도 제상 돈이 마도바이나 데네 동이도베 람고메 하마르 와스 동이도베 람고메 메나 아나 다세 마리바디 빵투고 마레스 제사디 마바나 된 탈바다 템지기 보고 톡투고 마레스 아세 다지 데네기 노추 차샤 닝제 삼베 닝제다 안다 데네기 따위엔 남자 야보 하고 제 냠네 제겐디 또 두겐디 텐주베 마도 미두스 텐주베기다 인디다 하고 한디 덴지기 남자 될라 데네 안에 라시 마주바 하고 해야 돼. 텐주비기다 나바산지 좀다 마와 나네 텐주바기디 하고 두고레스 냠네 남고레스 오라다.
What J. Rinpoche is saying in this verse is that Buddhist Shakyamuni taught many methods on how to eliminate suffering. And to eliminate suffering, so all these methods come down to eliminating the root cause of suffering. So how does suffering arise, or how do we come to experience suffering? This comes about through the karma that we have accumulated due to our own afflicted minds. And then this comes from our root cause, a single root cause of the ignorance of self-grasping. And so the Buddha taught that the method to eliminate the ignorance of self-grasping is through to develop a contrary mind, a mind that is opposite to this ignorance, and that of course is a wisdom. And of the many wisdoms, in particular, the wisdom realizing emptiness. The wisdom realizing emptiness is a contrary mind to the ignorance of self-grasping. And it's only through realizing the wisdom realizing emptiness, it's only through developing the wisdom realizing emptiness that we can eliminate the root cause of all our suffering and be liberated from suffering. And furthermore, the Buddha taught then, so how does one realize emptiness? How does one develop this wisdom that realizes emptiness? Well, the very best method amongst the varying methods is that of the presentation on dependence arising. And amongst the various, if we were to divide beings into classes of 3, there would just be one group who are actually able to do this. Those who aren't Buddhists cannot realize emptiness in that they do not accept the presentation on dependent arising, and therefore cannot realize emptiness and eliminate the root cause of suffering. Likewise, the Buddhists who accept the lower tenets, those of Svachantika and below, when they reflect on dependent arising, instead of leading to come to the understanding that all phenomena are empty or devoid or lack inherent existence, rather, for them it becomes a proof that phenomena are inherently existent, and therefore their misunderstanding is strengthened. So therefore, even Buddhists who are not who do not accept the view, who do not accept the view of the Prasangika, they too cannot realize emptiness. So if we were dividing sentient beings into groups of 3, then it's only this third group, those who accept the view of the Prasangika, who can, through meditating correctly on dependence arising, can come to see how all phenomena, whether outer phenomena or inner phenomena, lack inherent existence. Thereby come to realize emptiness and give rise to this path that is the wisdom realizing emptiness, the mind that is contrary to the ignorance of self-grasping, which is the root cause of all our suffering. And in this way, they are able to eliminate, those who hold the Prasangika view are able to eliminate the root cause that keeps us bound in suffering and attain liberation.
ane jerum chigi ngao zulya labja garandan gorasne denegi da rashin duba tende na rashin dugure sambe samlodi shukchimanga jugi di samda dena jugi rashin matubadi totu toyale ya parchi chigires parchi chigire gas rashin dubare lagado rashin matubale dana na du mara nying maro di sosuge rashin dubare stawa jiyo banza rashin matubare 이 시행주에는 어디다 다다가 시고 러기로든 디 라신 두디어서 따와디 여바나 디냐노 지금 말. 그래서 니네자 아직 딘데서도 규대기 가라마도도 요말 거랑원의 주바 규대긴 딘데서 요말에서 니네게 삼로식 숙천부 여바네 다지 딘디게 남자 동이도 딘디 남자 삼당고를 납나 야 디냐노 지금 말와 닝 말와
아 근데 계속이야 탐바고 통기로
근데 라신이 주바레스 딘데 나 라신 주 구글에서 삼로 숙천부 줘봐나 소소야 데네 삼로 숙천부 줘봐나 미지게 딘데 라신 주요마다 딘데레 람나 제가 년로 지금 말와 닝 말와 말에 말 결혼 노르데서 지금 와 딘데게 삼로 줘나 아주 딘데게 남자 삼도 동이 또야리야 발시지고 내지래 그래서 최담지 딘데 말에서 그 유요 말에 권주 세발에서 몇 삼로 숙천부 줘봐네 아니 아주 딘데 남자 시간 주요나 어디에 얘기 말 어디 걸어 넣어야 다 시기로서는 그 년호식 말에 진짜 디네상 안줄야 나아서데 로수르네 베터네 초소 말홍아시 로수르네 봐 장보진이 마디 초인 디 초인 많이 맞지나 나라시 주버지 초인 디 결혼 노트래 아 딘데서 요 말에서는 초지는 디 노트를 납나 아니 가지고 또야래 말 가긴지게 돼 이용 말에 제가 당번에 그 뒤초소 말롱하죠 lo surundeje, but Kimala Teje, Choma Chevaje. Dine, and it called Dentiki, Namsha, some Tangures. Kesi and Zugi, that's Lam Sanye Sunye Lam Delia, and Janju Sem Gomya, Jamba, Nijo Gomya, Mitabo Gomya, Dingizin, and this day she knew to be Mango Yorte, Janju Sem na Tonyi Mato Tobe Shera the Magombaina, Janju Sem da, and Jam Nije, and Dingizin Kati, Gombaina, Korea, two Mares, Koal Pant Mares, Koal two Mares, Chizan, Koe, Korea, Guzo, Ranshin Maduba, Dasim Maripa, Dipan two Mares, Chizan, Di Dasim Maripa Paya di Delia, and also may have a second serious, don't you to be shared at the race. Chizan Dini and Zancho, and don't you to be shared at the Gungu race. Chizan, don't you to be shared of Kumbala, and Sanyo Jumna di Sun Shapiki, Tendigi Namsha Delia. Dinner doya get Namsha le Bezu Cheche, and dinner dobe tap della dinner, and Rashi Matu dog is, as you cannot dinium and Jehures, Jeremici di Sungora Danzela.
What is the advice then in this 10th verse that Lama Tsongkhapa is giving to all of us? So he's first of all saying that those who are reading this text or hearing teachings on this text, there may be some who have a very strong view of grasping at inherent existence, a strong belief that phenomena have some kind of self-existence, that if one were to investigate, one would find that phenomena do exist in the way that they appear. And so if one has such a view, then one will not accept the presentation on dependent arising. One will not accept the presentation that phenomena lack inherent existence. Or alternatively, if one has the view that one has a strong view that everything was created by a creator God, then one is also not going to accept the presentation on dependent arising, or that all phenomena lack inherent existence, or phenomena are empty of inherent existence. So if one has a very biased mind or strongly a partial mind, believing in one of those two views in a very closed and partial manner, then one will not be able to accept the possibility that phenomena lack inherent existence, that they don't exist in the way that they appear. So rather what it's encouraging us to do is to have a more open-minded approach, to not to be aware if our mind is grasping very strongly in the direction of either believing in a creator God or that phenomena have some kind of self-existence, and rather to listen to the presentation on dependent arising and the presentation on emptiness, and listen to it with an open mind, and then reflect for ourselves and come to see for ourselves whether there is truth in this presentation or not. But to be able to engage in such a reflection, one's mind needs to be open to the possibility that phenomena may not exist in the way that they appear. And as part of the reason to encourage us to have this open mind, it's presented throughout this text that amongst the many practices and the worthwhile and essential practices in the Buddha Dharma, such as reflecting on the law of cause and effect, on impermanence, and meditating on love and compassion, while these are all extremely important and essential, none of them will lead to liberation from suffering. None of them will free us from samsara, because they do not directly contradict the root cause or eliminate the root cause of our suffering, this ignorance of self-grasping. The only mind that does that is the wisdom realizing emptiness. And the very best method, the best amongst the many techniques, the best is through meditating on the presentation of dependent arising, one can come to understand emptiness. And in this way, attain liberation from suffering. So that is the advice that Je Rinpoche is giving to us in this verse.
잠니제 다 자주 셈곰 니가랴 동요 두배 셔랍주 곰바이나 되네 안 산요고 봐. 야 톱투그리 해시고 와다 산요고 봐. 토발라 잠니제 곰바 잠지 dig 말에 되게 동요 두배 셔라고 그래서 지나 동요 두배 셔라고 잠니제 곰 되네 제바이나 아니 니가 두스체 곰바이나 되네 산요고 봐. 토야랴 톱투그리 해서 지송으로 봐.
To be clear, in order to attain the supreme goal, in order to rise as a Buddha oneself, one needs both the wisdom realizing emptiness as well as the mind of bodhicitta, which comes about through meditating on love and compassion. So one shouldn't be confused thinking that Geshe Rinpoche is just encouraging us to develop this wisdom realizing emptiness, but rather one needs to do this in conjunction or combined with meditations on love and compassion and bodhicitta. Because it's with these two, the wisdom of the wisdom realizing emptiness and the method of love and compassion and bodhicitta, that one can attain the exalted goal of Buddhahood. This is what is being expressed here is something that Geshe Rinpoche has expressed elsewhere. And we're thinking here in particular of the three principal aspects of the path. So in the 9th verse of that, wisdom, without the wisdom realizing ultimate reality, even though you have developed definite emergence and bodhicitta, you cannot cut the root cause of cyclic existence. Therefore, strive at the means to realize dependent arising.
Dana Jerim Janzulia, Tonyu Dobala, Chisa, Dentige Namja Samtachi, and Tonyu Dobure, Tindi Toyag, Tablamia, Pesicure, Sonwala, so that in the Suwainza, Danganzugi, that Tonyu Dogo, and the Koala Joe, or San Yokoban, Toku, Taba Toku, Detovalane, Korigi, Yuzo, the Bangu, the Payala Tonyu Dogo, Chesa Dini and Zadane, and Dini and Zang and the Tindigia. Can this some tangure, that's some tanhadi, can this tangure says Yunguru Danzo.
What we've heard both in this 10th verse here and the 9th verse of the three principal aspects of the path is that it's imperative that we meditate on dependent arising so as to come to understand that all phenomena, everything that exists, whether an external phenomenon or an inner phenomenon, is empty of inherent existence. And the mind that understands emptiness of inherent existence is the wisdom understanding emptiness, or the wisdom realizing emptiness. And why do we need to do this? It's because we all want happiness. We all want to be freed of suffering and problems and difficulties. And with such a wish, if we want to fulfill that wish, it means we need to attain liberation from suffering. Or we want to attain enlightenment, arise as a Buddha. And in order to achieve either of those goals, liberation from samsara or enlightenment, then one has to eliminate the root cause of all suffering. And that is done through meditating on dependent arising. One comes to realize emptiness. So that then would lead to the thought of, how can I meditate on emptiness? How can I actually engage in this meditation?
Nangbo Rakwan Basamda, Rakwan Basamda, Delia to Samtaji, Yaya Ramado, and Dangwanazugi, Mahan Rubichin, Dangwana Chamodi, Rakwat Samata, Chamod Samtavene, to Scalicagua, Chesadiniza, Kodambo, Rakwa, Samta, Rakwana, Samtangia, some Dangrovena, or Denego, Dendigi, Namsha Delia, and Shinyala Lela Jumurua.
When we meditate on dependent arising, everyone starts from the same point in that this is something new and a little difficult. And therefore it's imperative that we start with meditating meditating on dependent arising with a presentation that is quite coarse or quite easy to understand. If one were to try and skip ahead a few stages and start with a subtler presentation, then it will be difficult to really grasp it in meditation. So it's important to start with a level of meditation that is easy to understand and easy to apply. And then, through meditating on this coarser understanding repeatedly over a sustained period, one will become more habituated and more familiar with this way of thinking, and will easily be able to progress sequentially to subtler and subtler levels. But it's important, though, as a starting point, not to get ahead of oneself, but to start with a coarser or easier to understand level.
Samstavena dangbo ngana zugi migi thoya yue tegen delia samstavena dang zugi chigi singdo rojma jewalia an delia yukar kugudu saro chida an chura da lu rojda an delia sabon stab kudu chisan sabon ma tawendu dela dene nyugu je da dene skidu was chisan nyugu de ya che ne dongbo cha dene yaga cha dene dele medoasha dene debu seta dene 신앙을 debu de 사야라기도 와 세상 아주 사야기 신도 debu de 당보 달 뛰고 그래서는 메도asha dene dele 돼 dene medoasha와디 가로도 야가 되게 야돼 는 야가 되게 동보의 마마서 자와 사번대로 투바디 dene 진의 용도 와 선배게 아 저기다 디송아도 미기 통초수 교 넘기하고 dene 지 삼느라고 같이로 와다.
Something that's very easy to understand is an illustration like we mentioned earlier in the class, that we have, I'm sure in your homes you have many beautiful flowers. So this is something you see, you understand the relationship this flower that you're seeing before you has with dependency on causes and conditions. So first one needs a particular type of soil to plant, and then one plants a seed in there. And then one waters the plant, and it must be in the right kind of environment, have enough heat or not too much, the right heat. And then the seed will sprout and the plant will be visible above the ground. And then as one continues to water and the sun shines, and it will grow, and eventually a flower will bloom. So we can see clearly that this beautiful flower we're looking at came from a cause of a seed, but not just one obvious cause, but several other causes that we understand clearly around that. And slowly through many sequences, one cause leading to a result, and then that result going to a result further and a result further, we eventually come to the point where we have a flower. So this is a starting point because it's easy to understand.
dine ki ta ngana zule dine ki chilogu ngobo dile sama chu khalo che da sosolya khalo che dangbo dine sam dine di sosolya sam da che soso ga kan de chuare ngi su po de se de ngi su po kan de chuare lamna ta ngi su po de ane nyama chung shi ma da chenpo re nyama chung shi ma de dile che cha ba chung de ga wa chung re sin 아말레 되는 중앙 아미 조건 마사바래 세. 온두스야야 삼단에도 예수보 세야 예수보 될 때는 중앙에 세딩한 저기 다 대소양한 저기 신엘야 직질이 되는 연구요 받딩한 저기 근데 하고 레로로 변한 가서 롱업시다면다 롱업시다 가라지 녀마 로십시다면 될 때는 중앙에 십주도 숨줄래 되는 숨줄 로직 직디안에 다와 가시 다와 깨마타고 보고 될 때는 중앙에 야야 삼단에 깨마타고 보고 가와 중앙에서 아미 조건 안 맞은 거래서 온두스 야야 대변에 직질래 되는 중앙에 대양한 저기 데네두 삼단에 아주 삼려 코르데고로 쇼르와다.
We're starting with an easy to understand outer phenomenon, such as the flower, then we can move to an inner phenomenon, and we can look at ourselves. So let's first think maybe of this coarse body. So this body that we have, now we are in whatever state we are in, but at one point we were very young, and even when we were very young, we were at one point even younger than that, when we were newly born. And when we were newly born, we of course came from somewhere, we came from our mums, so we were born from our mothers. So here we can see a relationship of dependency between having been given birth to, and then we grew up a little bit, and then we grew up some more, and then we eventually arrived at our current state. So this is an easy way to understand dependency, and we can understand it in a reverse direction as well. So let's say you're 50 years old now. 10 years ago you were 40. And it's only independent on having been 40 10 years ago that you can be 50 now. If you weren't 40 before, you were not going to be 50 now. And likewise, one can count back, and one then eventually was a small child, and that's, before that you could only be a small child because that was a result that came about independence on having been born, etc. So this is a very easy way to understand the relationship of dependency in terms of how our body is now, that it came about independence on aging.
I can't contact Korea, contact level, and he contact Gesson. Koyangale and Supulu Shushe, Chesadin is an anare, didn't have Korlavares. Chesan he quantity, Koyangal and Supula, Shushin, Tiki and Gelare, Delatin League, such Cornelia Hagura. Chesadana, Ni Supul and I said, Ni Supo said, Ni Supola, Hatching, Ni Supola with the dick, Ni Supo said the Karachi Ligors and some of the Karaligors. Nga said it. Nga said Zimba legend. Didn't he supo? Ngale Nursong, Ngale Jigma song, said the Gang lady, Dambo, Nazuki, Chesangi, Supul Nugutu, Ngi, and Punja Yen Nugutu, said Ngi, Samlo, and never give to Sebe, some deity, Ngi, said the colleagues, and this some of the garden leaders in it. Nga said you, Nga said you. Nga said some losure. Nga said some losure, Ngi, Lapa, Ngi, Gaba, Malan, you to say the Corlada, the Sultan Legal. She's I didn't do some other, she's a Nga Gala, Nga said some of the legal to Ajere.
Still looking with ourselves and starting with illustration that's easy to understand. Let's say someone hits us. What is our response likely to be? We're going to get angry. So, why did we get angry? Why did anger arise within us? Well, we can see a relationship of dependency quite easily. This person before us hit us. So, in dependence on them hitting us, we got angry. So, very easy to understand this relationship of dependency. But then we can take it a little bit subtler than that. So, what arose in our mind? We think, he hit my body. I am hurt. I am offended. I find this unacceptable. And here we see the sense of I, whether it's in relationship to my body, I was hit, or I find this unacceptable. So from the sense of I, from this came the anger. So there's one cause. Person hit us, we got angry, but there's also the sense of I, that my body was hit, I am offended, I am in pain. So there's also the cause of this sense of I.
Lolia Ganis Nangus, Pachebachi, Sesang Samlo Nalia, said Nadu, Subuda, the Negam, Kale Mato, rang when you do Nangore, Kale Mato, rang when you do Nangore. Chesanti now and asking out Tiresha Sempe Zingorwa. Chesan, Ma said the rang when you Mato, Ganis Nangu, Sang the Chebachi, Chesan Ha said, Nga said some Yovanza, and then Ngi Supo said, Galan used it. Chesan Ha said Yovas. Nga said is Ganesh do Sapanga Jevachi, Nga said Ganesh Nangu, something. rang Gaya Madu Rang when the Juba, Nadu. Oh, that Denish Nangudu, Dene Kala Madu Rang when you drew to Nadi, Takawadu, and Seston, that Denigi Nadi Pa Lolia charge you. Denigi charge you Nadi, Takawadu, and the Chevachi.
Denikunda, Garanti Yankasuna, the Apodu, also Semla Kadi,
Nadi, Tabonga said, and Ganesh to send the Bachevachi, Mansulia, Nga said the Kala Madu Koron when you drew to Genji Nangorwa. The nigga now on Ashin I did Nangudu. That thing I think our Resha and that got Chevachi.
Now we take the meditation to subtler levels. Now we sit here and we think to ourselves, so when I think of my I, or I think of myself, what appears to my mind? And how does this appearance appear to my mind? And we come to see that the sense of I that we have, or the self we have, appears not to be dependent. It appears to be independent of anything other than itself. It appears to exist by its very own nature, to be self-existent. And then this is how the object of the self or the I appears to us. And then a separate mind, or then a mind grasps at this appearance of the I existing in this way. So we have as an object the I existing in a way that appears to be independent of anything at all, and then a mind believing in this, grasping at this. So this is how the I appears to us. It appears to be independent. It doesn't appear to be dependent on anything at all. It appears to have some kind of inherent existence. So this is then something that we need to look for, to see if we can find the I that appears in this way.
Dine subuhi nane shaadang, chaadang, pawa rupa, chasang paa di nga mare sene, paa yu shawe na, gansam chilo subuhi tene, chashi jie nye ya mare, da dine nga di thongya gyune ya mare, di lakpa re, di gangpa re, di sha re, di papa, di cha re, rugo re, paa chasang che sha na, dine nga di nye gyune, pungpuhi tene gyune nye me re da, che, dangpo di shi nye me re da.
The starting point then is for this meditation, looking for the sense of self, is to first get a feel for how it appears to us, how the I appears to us. And this is a crucial first step, because then we know what we're looking for. So when you got a feeling for the self appearing as being inherently existent, we then look for it. And the first place we look is within our physical body. And we go through our various body parts. We can look and separate our body mentally. We separate our body into its various parts. For example, we can imagine our arm over there. And if our arm were over there, would that be where our sense of self is? Because would our sense of self be with that arm? No, of course not. Our sense of self wouldn't be with that arm. That would just be our amputated arm. Or what about any of our organs, even an essential one like the heart or the brain? If this was removed and the heart placed there and the brain placed there, would our sense of self be with that? And of course not. That would just be our heart separated from us. So we can investigate our body, and we'll come to see quite easily that our sense of self that appears to be independent, appears to be self-existent, cannot be found within our body anywhere.
되샤게 나 콩도 되네 라위 갑라 강아 슈 셈려 강아 유베 초와디게 나레벨라나 디양아 말에 가서 가슴 대랑라 기우지디 갑라 초와 둥아 강아 초와디 요 말레스 지상 나 요레스 지상 소유 둥아디게 요 말 이내 나 요레 지상 디소에 나레미도 샤스 다는 초와 대랑랑 가우 초와 대와 기우르시도와디 딩아레벨라나 초와 디양아 말에 가서는 나시면 맞지와 강아 유디 갑라 나 요라 나 강아 티도 나 나기도 라고 이내 대랑라디 요 말이 와스 지상 누스테네 초와디기네 셰바 락바락바 두스체바나
The first part of the meditation was to see how the eye appears, and the second part was then to investigate. We investigate first within our body, and we see we can't find it there. So the only other place one can look is within our mind, because the sense of self can only be in the body or the mind, and we've looked in the body and we couldn't find it there, so we now come to look in the mind. So we don't have one mind, we have many different minds, so let's start with our sense consciousnesses. So the consciousnesses associated with sight, sound, smell, taste and touch. And we can look in these individually and collectively, and we'll come to see that our sense of self cannot be found within any or all of these, because, for example, when we are asleep, then these all become dormant, but there is still a sense of self even if our sense consciousnesses are dormant. So then what about in our conceptual minds? So let's say we have the suffering feeling dominant within us. So let's say we're angry or we're full of attachment, then our mental peace is lost and we're suffering. So is that the I? Unfortunately, it's not, because we not always we don't always have this manifest suffering feeling. We're not always angry or full of attachment. What about when we have a happy feeling present? Well, unfortunately, that is not us either, because for the same reason, we are not always happy. Sometimes we're ill, sometimes our mind is just a bit down. So we're not always happy either. So in this way, we investigate our various minds, and just like with the body, we come to see that this I that appears to be self-existent, independent, cannot be found within any of our minds either.
지선 셰바 라와 된가 말에 지선 가르선 셰바 라와 차상 가제 셰바 참모 주입이 갑라 나 요레스 지선디 셰바 라와 차상 가제 지선 셰바 라와 된가 레면도 지선 나도 다는 셰바 차신 차쇼도 다딩아레베 랍나 디야바 제바 지디 셰바 차쇼 딜야 안델야 기징 아마 나마레 가레벨라네 나마데 마레 치마데 레베스네 디양 기징 아마레 나마레 기징 아마 가서는 나 요레 저 제바 기징아지 제 가sam실에 제제제제도 강라에 니에메티겐 대신가로들이야 나세디 강라에 랑문이 주바 나와디 나와 나시지 강라에 니에메티겐 동상지마도 용고 말했어. 그래서 두 제여도 동상지 통고래서. 그래서 내내게 제네 동상지 강라에 뛰어봐 랑문이 주바 자와지 매비 동상지 통고 내내게 동상디 동번이 있어야 되래서. 그래서 니 또베게 니 통요도 될 로티 다 디토피 하고 로티 데르바 뉴바야 체르샤 당고레스 공부고레스 제가 데니기 제바지디 동이 통고레 제 두전 된지게 삼다도 동이세 통고 제가 강나야 뒤마도 랑원의 주바데 강나 제네 녜면 동상지 통고레스 데니기 동상디 동이세들이스 거다 데니 또 별로 삼로 니하고 건 로디 다야 곰제네 뉴바차 당고레라 거라
Tsongkhapa kenan tantarang chik tenro ki kola sungpimpe.
Je diro tendige samdaje di dirime de dileme ko tendige samdaje tamai tajo de galiosen gala ya tyoba meba ani kase dinigi jebaji gala ya tyo rangwon de duba de gyne zawo gyne meting dongsaji ma donggo marwa dini dongsaji dongyi res ni 통미 로디다 동이도 로라고 그래서 지선 디 야네야도 검체 뉴버 쳤던 거 그래서
그거는 나도 사프레 양캬디 텐저기 콜라스는 also kasing also company de die Dr. Chesong Hikosong
대신 아주 두 삼당요로 봐. 이때게 삼당사로 와다. 지상 두 삼당요도 대신에 아주 삼당지 된게 남자 삼당사래. 된게 삼당네. 근데 된게 삼당제 타메 타줘라. 가야 매바 동상하지마도 통밀도 아니기도 하죠. 된게 동상 통밀로디 다 돈이도 배시. 돈이도 배시. 동사디 다 돈이래서
So again, just to go briefly through the meditation, we started with seeing how the self appears, then we started looking for that first in the body, then in the various minds. So we've looked first in the minds, the sense consciousnesses, and then individual minds, such as anger and attachment, etc. Then what about, so we've looked through these coarser minds, and we haven't found the self there at all. But then what about subtler mental consciousnesses? Our subtlest mental consciousness. And so this is a consciousness that is so subtle that it would always be present, even perhaps in the deepest of sleeps. So is this perhaps where the sense of self would be found? But even here, if we investigate, we wouldn't find it there, because this, the subtlest of mental consciousnesses, this too can be divided into past moments and future moments. So if this I, or the self that appears to be self-existent or inherently existent, was to be found, it should be found within this, if it were to be found within this mental consciousness, where is it? Was it in the previous moment? Well, it won't be there because that's past. Is it in the future moment of the subtle mental consciousness? Well, of course not, because that's still to come. Is it in the present moment of this subtle mental consciousness? Well, it can't be found there either, because that present moment too can be further divided into past and future, to the point where the present moment can always be further subdivided, meaning nothing can be found there. So thinking like this, we're using the understanding of dependent arising to look for the self. And we come to see that the self that appears so vividly as being self-existent or inherently existent, existing by way of its own characteristics or its own essence, it cannot be found. It's empty of existing in this way. And in this way, we come to understand emptiness. And in your meditation, when you reach this point, where you come to see that the self is empty of existing in the way that it appears, it's empty of inherent existence, hold that awareness. And in this way, for the length of time that you can hold this understanding, you're strengthening your familiarity with your understanding of emptiness. You're strengthening your habituation to the understanding of emptiness. And the last step of this meditation is that we've come now to the point where we see that the self does not exist in the way that it appears, but is empty of inherent existence, and we're gaining familiarity, or we're holding this understanding of emptiness. And when that passes, we then reflect, So does this mean the self doesn't exist at all? Because when I looked, I couldn't find it. But now that I'm not looking anymore, thinking again, I still have a sense of self. So a few moments ago, when I came to this understanding of emptiness, no self, because just an understanding of emptiness. Now that my mind is analyzing again, I have a sense of self. I'm sitting here. So what this means is that when I investigate, couldn't find a self. Just came to the understanding of empty of inherent existence, the self being empty of inherent existence. But when I don't investigate, there is a feeling of self. So therefore, the self exists as a mere imputation by mind. So mind imputing self. That way we can say there's a self, but not an inherently existent self, not the self that appears to us as being independent. So the self at the start of the meditation we saw appears to be independent. That doesn't exist. Rather, it is dependent on imputation. So when we come to that point in the meditation, then we have understood the presentation on dependence arising, and moreover, we've come to understand it in accordance with a unique view of the Prasangika. And this is the understanding that is able to eliminate the root cause of all suffering, the ignorance of self-grasping, and thereby lead us to liberation.
Denenza semja tamjigi dondalia sanji goba matumna tabminu jisa sanji goba tobo sho samja je sanji goba toyala da nyamlin jajo semda jimbada chuchimla soba parjin 중 nyamlin chigo da dinaji da 동이 거 samda di parjin 중 나네 셔야 parjin chegorwa di nyamlin chigo jida denigi da sanji goba tobala 동이 또 원자 다 된디기 남샤 sam당이 sam제 니 don다랑이 된디기 남샤 sam다 디네가 주기도 전에 또 전대시 sam다나나도 직제바라 제바제나 제하래 되네기 아주 강하지 어려지 안제데 디링이 제름지게 다때는 되비게 나주게 랍제디 디리 되네 sam다이로.
Now this evening then we've looked at some detail again on how to meditate on dependence arising and come to an understanding of emptiness. And the only thing to add to this is to engage in this meditation with a motivation of wanting to free all beings without exception from suffering. And with an understanding that the only way that one can realistically have a powerful impact on others is to become the most skilled of guides, a guide that can relate to others in accordance with their individual personalities. And to become such a skilled guide, one has to become a Buddha oneself, but for the sake of others. So in other words, generate the mind of bodhicitta. And when one generates bodhicitta, the step that follows from that is always to think about, so I have now committed to become a Buddha for the sake of others. How to do so? 6 perfections. And amongst these 6 perfections being generosity, ethical conduct, patience, joyous perseverance, concentration, the 6th is the perfection of wisdom. And that is what we've been speaking about here. So if one starts the meditation with the generation of bodhicitta, that's fine. And then when you go to the point where you reflect on perfection of wisdom, then you can do this meditation that we've been describing. Or you can start with this meditation and then conclude by generating bodhicitta, as one prefers. But the key point for one's meditation to be effective is to investigate in this way repeatedly over a sustained period, and in this way we'll become more familiar with this presentation in the sense that it will have a greater impact on our mind, and as one becomes more familiar with it, one will be able to go to subtler and subtler levels.
That's only my share. The Rashi Maduba in a young Gudan, debut, Dindy, Namsha, the Tigri said the negative course.
Kautishu, you may say.
You are a student, that is
Tomorrow we'll continue with the text, and so the part of the text we'll come to next is where we take this understanding that phenomena are not inherently existent, they are empty of inherent existence, yet there is still the law of cause and effect, or karma. So we'll look at the interplay between emptiness and causality. So that's where we'll continue tomorrow. If you have some questions tonight, then please feel free to ask. Tsongkhapa.
So my question for Geno is last weekend's teachers and this week, Geno's used immature and contradictory in regards to...
Sorry, immature? Oh, yes, last week.
To the lesser tenor system holders, or understanding of emptiness. But it seems there's no mistake that the lesser tenor holders have arhats and photo destroyers who have a direct realization of emptiness. What are they or how are they gaining this realization of the presentations and thinking?
Okay, so last time we heard to the lower tenet holders and non-prasangikas being referred to as the immature, and tonight we heard that their view is contradictory to the presentation on dependence arising. So if that is the case, how are they able to attain the state of a foe destroyer and eliminate samsara? Yeah. Okay. Then dunanguma deni di rangyupa mente konso jipa ming taksong jipa. Then dogon konso tadrup dang gelwa de ming taksong. Then konso tawa kyun de dan trapo yana kandres konso trachompa chagirepe kandres konso tarpa ne drogirepe.
Dirwa 제가 코로나지게 따와 되네요 가서 코로나지게 제바지기로와 제바제제 나 쓰고 말봐 코로나게 삼로 따와 되냐 다 되네게 상이 좀 내디기 베지 흉 코로나지게 흉 지부 많이 봐지 흉 가르가 나라 베지 가르가 송셔 베지 망부로야 당 아니 망부 코로나지 용구로와 지 지부tillen 제야다 되네지데 안 되네지데 안 텐줄비 가르가 라고래 제가 내가 삼다다 튠바 카르도 마튠바 카르도 건조대 야가도 심주제 도 심주 제바제도 간삼질야 오당 아서 삼다데 노린서를 선배 섬리기로와 지나 되네자 아는 아줄만 아니 디 오다 건조 따와디 디 인서를 선배 섬 야자야 제바지데 디는 오인데서 통화도 거기서 랑주베 따와디 파 도제 텐주베 따와리야 리기로와 레오데 디는 거 어디야 야 곰제냠 고 야기 줘야로와 지나 디네자 고 심주제도 곧 다 심주 맞아봐자 나랑 코너도 따와야 케일린지 현다게 선주 제 만년 베제 심주 맞아봐이나 니는 야줘야요 말와 그 심주 제봐이나 니 제봐나 그 니수도 세고 하고도 코너도 되지 따와 찾고되는 파도하지 랑주 많이 봐 차르고 그러네 tenju 봐 차되는 그 냠냠진 산주고 봐 도도고 와
고소 제선 고소는 저 좀pe 얘나 되네 콘소 thank you but 다도 켈렌지기야
이거 다 좀만 thank you 봐마도 요말다
고소. So this is a good question. It's good to have clarity with us. So those who hold the view of the Svatantika or the Chittamatra or the Sautantika or the Vaisvashika, they will believe that their view is the correct view and the others are mistaken, of course. And they will be meditating on this view, and when they're not meditating on this view, they will certainly be studying further and developing their knowledge. And they'll be studying the Buddha's various teachings, but not just their tenets presentation, but also the tenets of the other presentations, including that of the Prasangika. And then, so we're really talking about practitioners here who are not just knowledgeable, but who are also investigating or engaging in analysis. And as they're doing this with studying, so meditation and studying together, they will come across new views, perhaps new views to them, or further exploration of the views of, say, the Prasangika. And they will see, the Prasangika say this, but our view is that. And so in some ways, our view is the same as the Prasangika, in other ways, it's contradictory. I wonder why the Buddha taught this, I wonder why some Buddhists believe that, etc. And they will, in this way, doubts will arise in their mind, and they will investigate this through their study and further meditation. And if they're doing this skillfully, they will slowly abandon their misunderstandings, turn away from their misunderstandings, and adopt the Prasangika view. And it's once they have adopted the Prasangika view that they can come to the realizations, the actual realizations, and progress towards attaining the state of a photostoy. So, if we hear of someone who is who has a direct realization of emptiness, or who is a photostoy, an arat, they have to, by definition, have the Prasangika view. If they have another view, they are not a photostoy, they haven't realized emptiness directly. They have a realization of their view, but it's not a direct realization of emptiness. Okay. Thank you.